Hey there friends, I am Mike the Zorch, and this is my final video on No Man's Sky. Sort of a trilogy. I started out this wanting to talk about the game. I talked about various subjects in the past videos. Today I'm going to cover something that a lot of people just didn't know about the game. And that is the hidden phenomenon that No Man's Sky became, that few people outside the No Man's Sky community even knows about the game. I know nobody knew what was really going on until some people in the mainstream game news began to talk about it. And that is the fact that the community was really built up around this game. And a lot of people thought No Man's Sky was dead. And of course, there's still a lot of haters out there for the game. And they were surprised that there were still people playing the game, playing it regularly. And more than that, I'm going to get into that, of what the community has been doing. So, as you know, the game launched in 2016, and it was not the launch we were expecting it to be. I have some theories into why that is, and there's been a lot of evidence that has come out that has given weight to that theory, that it was Sony that was responsible for the game launching in the state it was in. For one thing, Hello Games was under an exclusivity contract with them, and knowing how those work, it's clear Sony was responsible. It's very clear. Under those exclusivity deals, Sony handles the marketing. They pay for the marketing for the game. So the mega hype in the mainstream media for the game, paid by Sony, controlled by Sony. So, there was hype from the gaming community. Yes, there was hype from YouTubers. Yes, there was hype from some of the less mainstream gaming news sources that were becoming popular at the time. Yes, but Sony played a large part. That's not what the subject of this video is about. It's about what happened after the game came out, after the backlash from gamers about the state the game was in. It was in a very unfinished state. If you stuck around, like a lot of the people in the community now have, if you stuck around and you watched the game evolve from the Foundation update, then to the Pathfinder update, and then Atlas Rises, you watched the game transform massively. These weren't small changes, small updates, small additions. No, these were huge. Foundation alone changed the game on a fundamental level. And then the Pathfinder update gave us the ground vehicles, gave us more materials for building bases with. We got the base building came with the Foundation update. And we also were able to buy freighters. I believe that was in Foundation, or was that... Was that Foundation, or was that Pathfinder? That may have been Pathfinder. It's been a while. But Atlas Rises gave us the ability to actually navigate those freighters, be able to go to the central control panel on the bridge and basically warp the ship to wherever. Instead of just flying around on our ship and then commanding the freighter to warp to a specific location we want them to go to, we can actually be on the ship and warp to another star system. But after the game launched and after the backlash, a lot of people were very disappointed. Obviously, it's understandable. A lot of the hate was a little over the top, I would say. There was an enormous amount of hate for Sean Murray and Hello Games. A lot more than I had ever seen for other games that didn't live up to people's expectations. I mean, look at what Randy Pitchford did with Aliens Colonial Marines. I mean, he had that whole demo at E3 that got everybody excited for the game, and then when it launched, it was a complete clusterfuck. And the way he acted towards the gamers who were rightfully pissed for being lied to about the state of the game, and the fact that, you know, the hate that Sean Murray has right now from a lot of gamers, that hate, Randy Pitchford didn't get that kind of hate. He didn't. That hate stopped. I mean, there are people who are still mad at him about different things, but he's still somewhat worshipped in the gaming community, especially when it comes to the Borderlands series. Anyway, getting back on track. After the game launched, after the massive backlash, there were people who still stuck with the game, still played it, despite all of its flaws, all of its issues, the fact that it crashed a lot. It still crashes from time to time. That there was the content that was promised was not in the game. People still played it. And a small community of people who made mods began to surface. And they started making mods for the game. And some modders started to dive into the code, and they found unactivated op features, and they used those as a part of their mods. Rayrod is a very prolific modder for No Man's Sky, and most of his mods, all they do is activate code that's already there in the game, like the waves on the water mod that he has. That most of that is code that already exists in the game that was not activated, that Hello Games had developed, but they hadn't activated yet. And there were a variety of other things. But around the time of the second update, which was the Pathfinder update, the community went into overdrive. And you had beginnings of this right after the launch. Because people wanted to see if they could actually meet one another. And you had this historic image of people being in one place at one time but not being able to see each other. And that's when people realized there was no multiplayer in the game. And that caused more of a backlash against it. But that didn't stop the player community who stuck with the game. What they did is they started using tools that were accessible to modders. They started using tools that would allow you to get spatial coordinates in the galaxy. And over time, they began to establish hubs. Now, Hello Games saw this. And in one of the updates, I forget which one, I think it was the Pathfinder update that included this. They allowed you to leave these message pods behind. Now, throughout the game, in various places, you will see these round pods. They'll be next to one of the towers that you can activate to save the game and claim that specific region so you can upload it for credits. Every once in a while, you'll see these pods sitting there, and the pods will access the Galaxy network for buying and selling stuff. Well, they look like those, but they are for conveying messages. You walk up to them and you'll see a message pop up for a message left by someone in the game for you on that planet. And so they started doing this. They set up this hub in this one part of the galaxy, and you had these people all flying there, going to these coordinates, finding ways to get into the coordinate, using mods to see what the galactic coordinates were and making their way there. And they would leave message pods for one another. You would go there, and this one region on the planet would just be filled with these message pods of people just leaving messages for one another. And it was all this positivity. There was no anger, no angst, no hatred. It was all this positivity rolled up into it. And then Atlas Rises happened, and the portals became active. You could use the portals. You could find the glyphs. You could go through start the main scenario quest for the game and find the travelers and get the glyphs from them. And you had, I think it's like 8 glyphs, and use the portals like Stargates. I mean, come on, it's like Stargates. I mean, it literally has the whoosh toilet, has the toilet whoosh like a Stargate from SG-1. I mean, they've definitely inspired by that. And then you can go to another planet, and so they shared out the address for planets that are these huge hubs. And the gaming community in No Man's Sky created these groups, these alliances and federations and empires all in the game. And they would go to these places, and they would have hierarchies set up in their organizations, and they would leave messages for one another, and they would have like leaders and officers and everything all built into this. And they just built all this. None of it was supported in the game, but they just built all this up. They just built it up, and then they had a event called Unification Day, and it was commemorated in the game by Hello Games. I think they left a plaque in the game that commemorated it. Because Hello Games, unlike certain companies I could name, actually listens to their community, actually pays attention to what they're doing. And instead of trying to nerf the things that they do, instead of trying to stop the things that they do because it doesn't meet their vision, they encourage it. They actually help it. And because this community was building up, that's why I think the Waking Titan ARG was started. It started after the Pathfinder update, just before Waking Titan. And when it started in normal ARG circles, the way these games usually start. It started with a company, it's in the UK, that runs these things. An ARG is an alternate reality game. And they'll usually involve reading blogs, reading messages, solving mathematical puzzles, solving word puzzles, going to websites and then solving puzzles there. This one was really, really elaborate. You started with the ARG starting, and then some of the people involved in ARGs who play them started seeing stuff that, this looks an awful lot like something involving No Man's Sky. And so they went to the No Man's Sky community and go, hey, is this from your game? And they go, yeah. And they go, whoa, hold on. This stuff, it's related to No Man's Sky. It's related to the game in this ARG. And so the ARG became something of a backstory for the game, that the galaxy, the universe in the game was a computer simulation that went awry. That it was a computer simulation that went awry. And that's when it really kicked off fast, before just leading up to the release of of the Atlas Rises update. So Waking Titan really ramped up. I was involved in it to a certain extent. Tried to solve some of the puzzles. They were pretty complex. And the people that were involved in this are incredibly smart. And Hello Games knew that these people were smart. And so they put clues for the ARG everywhere. They put clues in the source code of their websites, the source code of the website for the ARG itself, in the HTML source code, in the HTML source code for the No Man's Sky website. We can go to read up on the updates. Then they also mailed out these audio cassettes that had clues on them, and they even used, there's this technique there's this audio technique where you can actually embed in the audio spectrogram of sound. You can embed these images, and they did this on these audio cassettes, and the images had the mathematical clues or mathematical answers for some of the puzzles. They did that. They also had this thing where you would listen to radio spots. They actually purchased time on various radio stations all around the world. I remember there was this one from Norway that they had purchased this time in Norway for a broadcast for this ARG. ARGs are bigger in Europe than they are here, and so they do this stuff regularly on radio stations there. But you had it in Norway, and there was another one in South Africa, another one on a radio station in South Africa. So you had people tuning into these radio stations via the internet, via their live stream on the internet, listening for these things that would give clues to what's coming up next in the ARG. And then there was these long live streams, this really surrealistic live stream where they were just watching these monitors on the screen and this gerbil in a cage and things happening on the screen and this eerie music in the background. And that was the lead up to the Atlas Rises update. And that's the update that we currently have now. Now, after Atlas Rises came out, there were a bunch of patches and fixes for different things. But the ARG is running again, and it's ramping up. It usually runs for a couple of months. Last time it ran for about 3 months. It's been running for about that time now. And look, in fact, the way we calculated it, the ARG will end right around E3. So we believe that Microsoft will have something major involving No Man's Sky at their E3 event. They might even have the game playable for the Xbox at E3. It's possible, because the game launches the next month after. So it's very likely they do, and very likely they're going to have some kind of presentation at their press conference. The community has really built up, really grown in this game. And now that we know multiplayer is coming, you have player groups organizing to take advantage of this. There's this one group that is building up, they've got already people assigned to do patrols in their star systems to make sure that other players don't come in and start griefing people, start just attacking people at random. They'll have patrols going on. They've already have a hierarchy of command established. It's incredible what they've done. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a gaming community get this involved, this organized, outside of EVE Online. I've never seen it happen before. And for a game that previously didn't have multiplayer, previously didn't support any of this in its game mechanics. No Man's Sky had no multiplayer whatsoever. Until Atlas Rises, you couldn't even see the other player. Now in Atlas Rises, you can see another player as an orb, and you can talk to each other. On the PS4, you can talk via voice chat. On the PC, it uses Steam. It uses Steam APIs to use the voice capabilities of the Steam platform to communicate seamlessly. So as long as you and 16 other people are in the area, you can see each other as orbs. You can talk to each other as long as there's no more than 16 people in a specific area, because that's how many you can see at one time. And you can meet one another, and then you can click on one another to create a little memorial saying such and such people were together here, and that memorial stayed in the game world. And I've seen several of those around, especially in the hub areas. Well, I've never seen a community as positive and cohesive, a community that works together. I mean, it's an amazing thing. And I'm sure there's a lot of sociology professors who would love to study what's happened in this game. All the positivity that was involved. I mean, there's been a little bit of drama. I mean, you're not going to be able to have this kind of thing without a little bit of drama going on. But it's been mostly a positive experience for the people involved. And it's an amazing phenomenon that's taken place. Amazing. And it's the players that drove it. Hello Games simply helped a little bit. They gave them the message pods to be able to leave messages for each other. They allowed people to be able to talk to one another in Atlas Rises and be able to see each other as floating orbs, because they were just trying to get the network code to work. And they've had the multiplayer working for 6 months now, and they've been playing around with it. And 505 is actively defending the game. 505 Studios is the publisher for the physical copies of the game for the Xbox, and they are actively defending the game. So, and Microsoft has been promoting it. They brought Sean Murray to the U.S. for what, a 15-minute interview to talk about it. So they have seen what we have not been able to see yet. They've seen what's going to be in next, what's going to be in the game. And another part of the community is their ability to dig clues out of the ARG. The ARG posts these images, these screenshots of the game that are scrambled. Well, people have unscrambled the images, and they have found things like a brand new AI for the game that almost looks like Tony Stark's Iron Man UI while he's in his Iron Man suit. It almost looks like that, but from his perspective inside the suit. And they've also found ships underground, under construction. Capital ships that you can build, or it looks like you could build them, because it looked like they were ships under construction, and cities and large buildings. And one of the guys that Hello Games hired, his specialty is procedural cities and procedural dungeons. That's his specialty. That's what he does. So they hired him. So, as I said, I've never seen anything like this in a community from a game. I mean, this is totally unlike the community you see for, like a Bethesda title, or there's no real community cohesion there in Skyrim. You have modders, but you don't have people organizing like that. I mean, the only other level of organization I've ever seen on this level is like stuff in EVE Online, which is designed to allow people to do that, or in Elite Dangerous with groups like Mobius. But this is even above that. I mean, Mobius, they just organize so that they can be in these private groups so they can play the game without gankers harassing them, so they can be so they can all play together in these private groups where PvP is banned. But this is different. This is where players, people who play the game from all around the world, have organized into these groups that work together to solve puzzles in the ARG and actually work to build real communities in the game, despite the fact the game didn't support it. And now features are coming that will support their efforts, that will allow them to build hubs, have hub support, build cities and colonies, and build ships. If what they found in the ARG, if what they found in those unscrambled images is true, we'll be able to build ships, multi-crewed ships. Because the foundations for that are there, and there is code in the game. There are assets in the game. There's audio there's audio in the game from the main computer that supports this. That it's been there for a long time. It's been there since the Atlas Rises update, that had been in the game but hasn't been activated. That this is where they were headed. So they've been watching what the community has been doing, and they say, you know what? We had a vision for the game, but this is where the community is going. So let's see where we can take this with the community. And so they are supporting them rather than trying to fight them like Frontier Developments does. And they fight their player community. Hello Games is embracing theirs, and what a community it is. I've never seen anything like it. It's a phenomenon. It's hard to describe for people who just haven't played the game on a regular basis and who haven't watched this community grow. I mean, if you watch YouTubers like L Plays or Cobra TV, you've watched this community grow because he's deeply involved in that. And you've watched this community grow from this small little movement to something that it encompasses almost all the players of the game. Not everybody, but thousands of people. It's truly amazing, and I bet sociologists would just love to study this. And it's so filled with positivity. It is truly amazing what's happened. And not a lot of people know about it, especially not the haters. A lot of people don't know this is going on. When they find out about it, they are shocked that it's happening, because they thought the game was dead, and it was anything but. This is the final video in this series on No Man's Sky until the update comes out. And then I will likely be streaming the game over on my channel on Zort Central. I've been Mike the Zorch. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you guys next time.